Monday Night Chat with Wong Chen.
Brought to you by the Member of Parliament for Kelana Jaya in collaboration with Invoke.
Welcome back to Monday Night Chat. Okay. Now, we're going to start off with our first item, which is previously in Kelana Jaya.
Previously in Kelana Jaya.
Yes, we've got three topics today. One is on the passing of the Chief Minister of Sarawak, Adenan Satem, Tan Sri Adenan Satem. Second, I'm going to talk a little bit about Invoke, just to give you an update because I went to Johor Bahru to attend a fundraiser. And then lastly, a very community-based event, which was the JKP Jawatan Kuasa Penduduk's dinner. Yeah. So let's start with Adenan Satem. I never had the pleasure of meeting him. When he was appointed as Chief Minister after Taib's long rule, most of us gave him, well, I wouldn't say we didn't give him a chance because nobody really heard of him. He was what we knew in the political circle was he's quite old and also not in the best of health. Let's put it that way. And but we were very impressed. I must say, just within like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, right? He came out, taking a very fresh approach to things, even though of his age, and he looks like what do you call it? Like a political dinosaur, let's put it. He looked a bit sluggish, right? His appearance, but he went ahead and announced great things. He did the UEC for the Chinese recognition. He talked about how we need to remodel the Federalist agreement with Peninsula. He said very strongly against corruption. And prior to everything else, I think a lot of people did research on his assets and others. He's not a very rich man. He's just normal, right? So all these were really plus points. But what really got us was his frank, open style of talking, right? Tanya and also Nadira, yeah. It's refreshing, and I particularly like. I think Tanya would particularly like the Christian angle, right, where he sort of defended the Christians. That they have a right to practice, the religion and others. So when we heard about 6 months ago that he was cutting down on his public appearance, but we were all a little bit caught by surprise when they announced his passing. So my deepest condolences to the family and to Puan Sri. There were some things that we disagreed on. For instance, he blocked some of the leaders from landing in Sarawak during the leading up to the statewide election. But that to me is a small matter compared to the good that he did for Sarawak. There's even talk that if when the by-election come, we might consider just honoring him by not contesting. But that's all up to the political masters. Okay, let's move on to Invoke, the second topic. As most of you know, I'm pretty much involved in Invoke at the early stages. Now I take more of a back seat, but when Invoke do their events, like a fundraiser, so what I did was over the weekend on Saturday, I flew down to Johor Bahru, gave a speech, took part, met people, shook hands. In Johor Bahru, we saw about 54 tables. So assuming that it's about $1,000 per table, I think we raised about, maybe plus other donations and stuff, maybe about 60,000, from Johor Bahru. And of course, Rafizi is there, and he's been shuttling up and down from Penang to KL to Johor Bahru raising money. And I'm happy to say that thanks to everybody's support, and we're not talking about any big donation, it's all like $100 ticket for makan. We've actually managed to raise about close to 1.2 million for Invoke. So Invoke is pushing ahead. Our office is very supportive of Invoke, right? Nadira, what do you think?
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Definitely.
Yeah, we have a lot of friends in Invoke.
Yes,
Yeah. So some of our former interns and also officers are at Invoke. So we hope to update most people, and please continue to support Invoke. They really need our full support because they are pushing the boundaries of how to fight election, and we really need to beat the government in the next election. and I will explain that later in the Policy Monday. Okay, so last one is on community. Subang Jaya, you know, my one half of my my parliamentary seat, is a lively community, and it's a middle class, upper middle class community, and the annual JKP, which stands for Jawatan Kuasa Penduduk, and the councillors dinner, the appreciation dinner, is always lively, and it's really fun for me. I'm not as active as Hannah in the in the local community work on a weekly basis, but I do attend enough of them. Right? But it's just that you get to know people, and once you meet people all the time, the community leaders, they become your friends, and it's all, you know, slap in the back, joking, asking about their family members. So this appreciation dinner was fun. I mean, I think Tanya is streaming some pictures out there, right? Yeah. And I must say, I really feel that I belong, even though I don't technically live in Subang Jaya, but I really feel I belong to this greater community that is Subang Jaya. And the really fun thing was they actually threw a surprise party for Hannah, and they gave her 4 cakes. There was, each zone gave a cake, right? And the weirdest thing, there was a cake that looks like a Pokemon character, that looks like a pufferfish. I don't know which one is that. I don't know, you're a Pokemon fan, right? Is there a Pokemon character with a pufferfish? Yeah, one of the cake was weird. Hey, I don't know, I didn't get to eat that. I ate the peanut butter cake. There are like 4 cakes. Okay, anyway, so that's the end of previously on in Kelana Jaya, and we move on to the next one.
Policy Monday.
Okay, Policy Monday. Now, this week we are going to talk about oil and gas. Why we talk about it is because we posted up a paper last week on oil and gas. That oil and gas paper took a long time to write. Not so much that we sat on it. We had to time it to release it together with Invoke's first monthly newsletter, right? And Tanya worked very hard on it, and we had an oil expert come in, and we consulted a few other people on the issue. So we're just going to give you a basic summary. But the thing is, after we posted the paper, I think we got like 28,000 views on it, which is astounding because most of our papers get like cursory 3 to 5,000 views, right? So I don't know how many people actually downloaded the paper. It's not difficult to read. It is about 16-17 pages. We try to write it as conversational as possible so that people can try to understand it. So I'll just give you now on Policy Monday some very basic viewpoints that is in the paper, and some of them are not really in the paper. I just like to talk about it. Yeah. So the first thing we have to realize is Malaysia is an oil producing nation, which most of you know, and we actually export a lot of our oil. And the Malaysian oil is what they call sweet variety, a high grade oil quality. So what you have in our cars in Malaysia is actually half, or about 60-70%, is actually from Middle East, where the oil is less sweet or less quality, and we blend it in Malaysia. And ironically, we export most of our nice good oil, and we use our blended oil for Malaysian cars, right? But overall, the oil and gas sector contributes tremendously to the economy. And in particular, one thing is to contribute to the economy and create jobs. The other thing is they are actually a major source of revenue for government. Because in Malaysia, 85% of the population don't pay any personal income tax. Yeah, and corporate tax is fudgy a bit. We actually depend a lot of the government depends a lot of money, revenue, from oil and gas. And oil and gas traditionally gives somewhere between 35% to 40% of the entire budget is based on oil and gas contribution in the sense of petroleum tax, in the sense of royalty, in the sense of export tax from oil and gas. Yeah. So therefore, to understand oil and gas, you see now how important it is for the government. If the government loses oil and gas as a revenue, it will technically go into bankruptcy. It just cannot pay the salaries of people, of the civil servants. It cannot invest or do anything. So therefore, understanding this situation, we decided to write this paper because everybody wants to know when will the oil and gas run out. And we started looking at this, I think, in November. because one day I read the Bloomberg every day, and one day I read this article where Bloomberg estimated the Malaysian oil and gas reserve to a certain number, and that estimate was based on, I think, was it Shell or is it BP? Tanya?
I think BP, but I'm not sure about Bloomberg. Yeah, Bloomberg was BP. Yeah.
Yeah, Bloomberg was BP. Yeah, so Bloomberg used the BP sort of like a global report on how much oil is left in individual countries. So after reading the Bloomberg thing, we decided, look, yeah, are they 100% accurate? We don't know. So we sourced through and trawled through all the parliamentary answers, and we found an answer from the Minister Wahid, right? Who's no longer a minister. So Wahid said that the oil is going to end about 2040, 2050. Yeah. But what we did was we actually looked at it and asked ourselves, what does it mean that oil will run out at a certain time? Does it mean that we keep using oil, then suddenly one day it just drops off the cliff? Or is it tapering down? What is the strategy towards it? So we then looked at this model we call, what was it called? Herbert, right? Herbert model to calculate if we're going to taper down oil, and then we looked at proven reserves, right? And at the same time, we factor in technological growth, right? Because it's estimated that every 5 or 10 years, we can actually extract another 5% of oil. Yeah, just purely on technology. And then we have to factor in, like, when oil prices are down, they don't invest. Like now, currently for the last 2 years, most of the oil companies have cut down on investment. And then we also considered the price of oil, the value on fracking, and the challenges produced by fracking to traditional oil. All in, you have to read the report. We found out that we have roughly 11 years before we go into a period where there's going to be a death spiral, what we call a fiscal death spiral. In other words, we will peak, not in production terms, we will actually peak in terms of how much we can get money out from oil, yeah, at 2028, which is 11 years from now. From 2028 until 2040 and 2050, 2040 is the end of oil, 2050 is the end of gas. From 2028 onwards till 2040 and 2050, we are always going towards a downward trajectory. Whatever technological or new discovery, unless it's like immense yeah, new discovery will not stop this slide. So 2028, in our opinion, is the crucial year. Therefore, it is very important that we must change our oil policy, or even change government, to make sure that we start saving whatever oil we have left now. So it's crucial that in the 11 years we need to do something, and we need to restructure the entire revenue of government, and we have to look at means to try and save some money before 2028 comes. Okay, but one last thing, even if we run out of oil, the most crucial thing that we need, yeah, even if we run out of oil, is that the people have to be in Malaysia, and the people have to improve in innovation and also hard work. A country cannot just depend on oil, and the end of oil is not the end of everything. We know that the humans, the people, the human resource is the most important element for economic growth. So we don't want to set off a panic, but for prudence and good economic management, we must change something before 2028 comes. Okay, that's it for the Policy Monday. Let's move on to the last segment, which is Q&A.
Questions and answers.
Okay, so we have question 1.
Wow, how many questions actually do we have today?
We have several this time. But,
Really?
The first one is from Sister Bernadette.
Okay.
He asked, with the new CM replacement, do you expect BN to win even bigger in Sarawak on the premise that the new guy needs more time to perform?
Well, the election is once every 5 years, right? So if we had the election last year, we have to wait for another 5 years. So the new guy will have about 3 or 4 years to prove himself. It's hard to say whether BN will increase or not. The first real test for Sarawak government is when we go back to Parliament in March to deal with the new 355 bill, whether Abang Joe will maintain what Satem has done, which is to say no to 355. So that will be the first test.
Alright. Next question
Ooh, we have question 2.
Sorry, that's a new format, right?
Yep.
Okay, yes, next one. So Amra Hamza asked, with these differing opinions on BRIM, what's your opinion on the matter? This is a bit out of scope, but...
No, I very addressed the matter in public. Actually, during the budget period, remember?
Yes, I
Yeah,
remember
a
that.
reporter ambushed me and said, "Look, what's your position on BRIM, Mr. Wong?"
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah. Well, we write policies for Pakatan Harapan. Now, I'll just reiterate. There is nothing wrong with a program like BRIM if it is carried out properly and if it is based on real conditions. You can't just give money, right across without any conditions. Yeah. BRIM is a form of targeted subsidy. We support targeted subsidy. We don't necessarily support BRIM because BRIM is not fully targeted. BRIM is dispensed as a political payment out through political parties, right? The way to pay, let me give a version of a targeted subsidy which I support. For instance, we know that wages are low and we want to push up wages, right? You can pay a subsidy, targeted subsidy through payment of wages, right? The way to do it is to put it through the employer. But the condition is, if you don't get a job, if you don't maintain your job, you don't get the BRIM. You don't get the targeted subsidy. So, conditional target subsidy is the way forward because the world today refuses to deal with inequality issues. If we deal with inequality issues, we don't even have to go to subsidies. But failing a systemic global change on neoliberal economics, yeah, failing getting good leaders, global leaders, to agree there's something wrong with the capitalist system, something sick about it, targeted subsidy is a decent enough option. Okay? Next.
Question 3.
I like that tone. Okay.
Call you next time.
Yeah.
Next question, Mr. Adenan. He asked 2 questions, but I will pose the one that is with reference to the oil and gas policy. But what form of revenue restructuring can we look at to replace oil revenue? Looking at 11 years, it appears that we need to identify an outlook.
Well, first thing is we got 11 years to try and save some money. Yeah. The biggest thing you have to do is cut down corruption. Corruption could be somewhere between 25 to 35 billion a year. Okay. So if we cut down corruption, we can save 25, 35 billion into a special fund. If you save that for 10 years, you got 350 billion, right? So that is the first thing we have to do. We have to restructure pay structures so that more people can pay tax. It's a bit ironic, I know. You have to restructure, you have to pay people enough so that they can actually pay personal income tax. Now, personal income tax contributes 30 billion a year to Malaysian government's revenue, which is roughly 30 billion a year, is about 12%. So we need to push that much higher, right, by paying people better. Now, we can bring in capital gains tax. I know people are unpopular on the issue, but capital gains tax is normal in the rest of the world. Yeah, I don't even think that inheritance tax, all these issues, a lot of people get very upset. I'm telling you, if we don't do something, right, when the 11 years come, the oil running out and it's going down a downhill trend, either the government become very small or you have to bring in a tax. Introducing tax early and understanding and explaining to people is crucial. Yeah? Nobody likes to pay more tax, for sure. But if government can show that they are clean and that all the tax money is accounted for, people readily pay tax and stop evading tax. That's it. This is a known fact. Yeah. So as in everything in life and also taxation, it's a give and take thing. But the government must lead by being accountable. Okay, let's take the next question.
Okay, so
Question 4.
Okay.
question.
Last one?
Sorry. Question for the last question, also by Mr. Adenan. Has the present PM government planned anything yet? How can Pakatan Harapan highlight their weaknesses in this area?
Planning for what? Taxation?
I'm guessing the election. It's quite a broad.
Oh, planning election?
I think so.
On the oil and gas, not the oil and gas thing.
Is it oil and gas thing? Has there been anything yet? I guess in relation to all, this is the same person. Could be oil and gas as well.
Wow. So okay, let's do both lah. Okay, Eddie, you have to write better next time. Sorry. Okay, oil and gas planning. Well, we know exactly. We track actually the income tax numbers. We have a mathematician in the office that we track them, and every year we produce our paper, the Pakatan alternative budget, right? Pakatan Harapan alternative budget. So we do plan, yeah. But planning and actually running the income tax department is separate lah, yeah. Until we get to power, I'm sure the income tax department is very efficient, and they've proven to be efficient, upsetting most people in Malaysia, right? We would let them to continue to do so. But if we cut down on corruption, eliminate corruption, the income tax department can relax a bit, let people breathe a bit more so that they can reinvest in business. Now, planning for election. We are preparing for election. We think it could be either May or it could be September. Or if they miss this deadline, it will be next year lah. That's pretty obvious, right? How do you prepare for election? I think the best preparation most people can do, or candidates can do, is just to go on the ground and continue to do the work. Yeah, I think 2008, 2013 is not going to be as easy as those where people have so much faith and hope in us. They'll just like vote us, you know, anybody but BN. Yes, no doubt the government hasn't improved at all in governance. We also needs to show that we can do the job, and I think there is a crisis of confidence. I mean, on the ground, I'm a politician and I speak plainly on this issue. On the ground, there is a crisis of confidence on the issue. So preparation, best preparation, keep doing your job, keep engaging the public, and our office is gonna start to prepare. I think this month my staff will wind down a bit of the research work and actually start to look at, you know, office preparation for possible election. Okay, are we short? Are we out of time? Have we gone too far?
It's actually good time.
Oh, great, good. So is there any more questions?
There's several that ask how to donate to Invoke.
Okay, go to Invoke website, invokemalaysia.org, and there are donation buttons there and support buttons that you can give. Please do that, because that is actually our election preparation for many of us. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week, the pre-Chinese New Year show. Thank you.